Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So I don't know if I'll be recording a video tomorrow, but because of that, hopefully you guys are having a blessed holiday season. It is the most beautiful time of the year, truly, and Merry Christmas, happy holidays. It really is a great time to be with your family, so just happy holidays, guys. I haven't really said that in any of my other videos, and Merry Christmas Eve. Let's get into the weather. So there is a potential for several storm systems, actually, and I was talking about it for the past couple of days. And yes, many people have been saying, oh, this is laughable, it's very warm in my location. No, it is. It is very warm across the United States. It's in the 50s and 60s. It's way above average. It's just that come, I guess, around New Year's time, which isn't that far away, 6 days, really 7, there could be a pattern change which could lead to more snowstorms, more cold. Doesn't look to be awfully cold, but it looks more snowy, which is what you guys prefer, even for areas like northern Illinois. I know I have a lot of subscribers there. Southern Wisconsin, Indiana, just the Midwest, quite a bit of chance for snow. And let's get into this video. Before we do, consider subscribing to this channel, consider liking this video. It really means a lot. And again, thank you so much, and let's get into the video. Right now we're looking at the latest GFS model run. Only goes out to 42 hours. Again, nothing really changes in those 42 hours. Really, the longer range forecast the forecast that changes is in the longer range. And if we look at the other model runs, like the 12Z GFS, the one that came out earlier today, if you were to get this to loaded, we would be looking at a elevated chance for some snowstorms across the northern U.S. and the eastern U.S. So finally loaded, and now we're looking at the GFS model run, Global Forecasting System. That is its full name. Again, very warm conditions across the United States. So this video's title may seem a little bit off, as I'm predicting quite a bit of snowstorms to occur. But yes, right now it is very warm, but that will change as, again, it's December. These warm-ups that usually do occur in December are relatively short-lived. This one has been really long either way, so it's going to come to an end. I think the toughest part of winter is still ahead of us. Obviously, January, February, the coldest months. Despite it being the days getting slightly longer, it's the atmosphere. I think it reacts a month or 2 months delayed. That's basically how delayed it is. It usually doesn't react to sunlight up to a month or two later. So, and the amount of sunlight that does increase is really very minimal. But notice, December 28th, Saturday, we could be looking at a strong storm coming out of the Rockies, Colorado. Remember yesterday I was talking about how the European wasn't really on the same page as a GFS in terms of the storm. Well, now with the latest model run, it looks as if the European has leaned towards what the GFS is showing, and that honestly was kind of surprising, as I thought maybe the GFS was a little bit being too aggressive, but it was right, and we've seen the GFS do these things before where it's unlike what the other models are showing, but it is right at the end. So let's look at this. Notice the GFS has a pretty strong system, lots of rain with this. This would be a very rainy storm for portions across northern Illinois, Iowa, Missouri. This wouldn't be the storm for you guys in terms of snow. There would be quite a bit of snow across Minnesota, Minneapolis, Rhinelander, possibly Green Bay if this sets up a little bit differently. South Dakota, maybe North Dakota, Nebraska, possibly seeing a little bit of snow out of this, quite a bit actually. The GFS switched up its position, the storm's position. Notice it's a little bit less snowy and a little bit more rainy. The European now shows more snow actually than the GFS, which is weird because yesterday the European wasn't even showing a storm at all, and now it's showing more of a snowy scenario. Let's look at the snowfall accumulations. Yeah, they're significant. Despite this looking pretty disorganized, they're fairly significant. You can see half a foot and above across much of Minnesota, Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin, seeing up above a foot of snow, especially the UP of Michigan seeing that lake enhancement, which could really add up to the snowfall totals. Northern Michigan as well, seeing quite a bit of snow out of this system. Notice, though, not much snow across Nebraska and Kansas and into northern Iowa. That is really where the amounts have decreased, but again, this is far out. The GFS kind of likes to jump around. If we were to look at the European model, it definitely does have more snow across those locations. Let's look at the Canadian. Quite frankly, to be honest with you, I haven't even looked at the Canadian. I usually don't, as these weather models, as the Canadian isn't the best for snowstorms, but for the sake of this video and for the sake of your pleasure, I will be looking at this snowstorm. So let's look at the MSLP and precip rain / frozen. I apologize, this computer has been a little bit slow today. But it has a storm, which, remember, yesterday it actually brought it to the south. I don't know how many people watched my video yesterday. Seemed to do pretty poorly. But both the European and the GFS, those two models, brought the storm to the southern US and did basically the opposite of what the GFS did. Now they're doing what the GFS did, and that doesn't happen too often where the GFS is the outlier and turns out to be right. So right now I'm showing the European, the high resolution on the pivotal weather. In case you were wondering, the European model has been kind of elusive. There hasn't been really many websites that have been showing the European. Usually you have to pay for it, or it wasn't the full version. On pivotal weather, they now have their full version, and it includes the snowfall amounts, and it's for free. So in case you didn't really know that, you could check out the European on pivotal weather. It's a great website, especially now since they put on the free European model. They were great either way, but this is one of the many model sites that I use. And notice that, again, it has that big storm starting across California into the southwest, kind of the Four Corners area. You could see quite a bit of snow for Colorado, Utah, New Mexico, and Arizona, again, by the Four Corners area. Though it really doesn't intensify as much as it does once it's out in the plains. You can see it really just strengthens, and the European delivers an interesting scenario. First, it includes a pretty nice wave of snow across North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota, more organized than what the GFS model has, and you can see the amounts of snow would be pretty significant, as we could just tell that by looking at the snowfall rates, as they're pretty significant. And look at this. It originally has a system right here, kind of dissipates into the actual storm, and then we have another model, or another low, developing off the strongest frontal system. And by the way, this looks like to be a rain maker. It would drench parts of the south. Some severe weather, I think, would definitely be possible, especially since we've seen a couple weeks ago, or was it a week ago, we saw a severe weather outbreak across the south, and that was unexpected. With these such big storms, that could definitely be on the on the horizon, such severe weather outbreaks. I'm not saying that there would be 40 tornadoes like there was last time, but there definitely could be an enhanced risk, especially with the strength, with the storm of this strength. Notice, first wave passes through, but it's not done. We see a second wave come through. It has a classical comma-shaped, snow shape to it, and that's just very heavy snowfall rates, very strong winds. There would probably be blizzard conditions. Now, again, this is a complete drastic change to what we've been seeing in the European model, even yesterday at this time. Yesterday, it was showing a very weak system going to the south and eastern U.S. Now it shows a full-on fledged snowstorm that is stronger than what the GFS is even showing. So it went from being weaker and not even showing a storm to way stronger than the GFS. Notice the European isn't done. We see another system starting to make its way off, basically from the Gulf of Mexico through the Mexican mountains, and we see that this rain shield is pretty significant as well, and this storm strengthens and produces a little bit of snow on the backside as well. You know, this one is very far out, 240 hours. Not as far out as what some of the GFS models, you know, when we say far out on the GFS, that usually is farther out, but European only goes out to 240, so it relatively does a good job within those 240 hours, but it's at the very edge of that 240. So we'll see what this storm does, but it's another possibility around the second time frame, 3rd through 2nd of January. 2nd through 3rd, I should rather say. But let's look at some of these snowfall amounts. Again, I warn you, these may be a little bit overdone. But, I mean, the GFS was definitely showing these snowfall amounts yesterday, and we'll see what that new model run does. I'm pretty sure it'll go back to showing those giant amounts. As just look at that, just that first storm, where you can see a lot of snow, a lot, and that's from the first wave. And this is kind of like that second phase of that storm. You can see amounts easily up to 12-16 inches of snow across much of Minnesota, parts of northern Wisconsin, South Dakota, North Dakota. You can see right there, hot spots reaching up to 2 feet of snow plus, and that is definitely not out of the question. Notice it's a large storm. It's not focused, not small. It's broad, and it's heavy amounts. So it just goes to show you the strength of the storm. We go through in time. Notice we keep seeing more snow storms across the country, with that second one showing right there. You can see possibly some snow across northern Illinois. That's what I mentioned earlier. For those, I know many people have been wanting, especially the snow plowers across northern Illinois. It hasn't been much snow at all, really, since November 11th, the last time it snowed here. possibly you could see 6, half a foot of snow. Again, very preliminary amounts, early amounts. European has just started showing these snowfall totals with this 2 days mountain run, but it seems like an uptick in storms is definitely incoming, especially compared to the weather we've been seeing, the 50s and 60s, a record-breaking Christmas warmth across the country. And if we were to look at the old GFS mountain run, not only does it show that first storm, which is strong and significant, it also shows many other systems. We have a weak clipper here that could form into more of a eastern or nor'easter, possibly around the 2nd to the 3rd, so a little bit different from the European. Then we see a little bit of warm air coming in, then we see a little bit of cool air yet again. Another system trying to make its way into the northeast and into the Midwest, another snow chance. Then we see a larger system, so an uptick for snows, and snows definitely on its way, and it seems like that will be the trend going into January and February, given the fact that that's when the coldest time of the year is typically, and this winter with that neutral Enzo especially should be intensified. So it looks very promising for you snow lovers, and basically every model is hinting towards that. So I have pretty high confidence. If we were to look at the Climate Prediction Center 8 to 14 day outlook, I'm pretty sure they're still showing warm conditions. Yeah, of course they are. That's just a Climate Prediction Center for you, though, and they often do this, and I really, quite frankly, wouldn't agree with this. But again, they tend to over-exaggerate these things. We've learned to take that with a grain of salt, especially since they completely bombed the forecast for November. They were saying above average for much of the country, and it was quite frankly the opposite. So that is not really important. We have to look at the data, not really other people's opinions. And that's basically it for today's video, guys. I'd like to thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing to this channel. Please consider liking this video. And I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.